Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. My name is Daniel and I'm the High Mileage Helper. On this channel, my goal is to be able to help you learn more about the RV transporting industry, as well as give how-to videos for your truck and then give recommendations along the way. So if this is our first time meeting, just consider subscribing, hitting the like button if you get good value. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a code that I got. It's a P0087 code, which, pulling it up here, it says that it is a fuel rail system pressure too low, bank 1 it says. So that is essentially the fuel rail system. My delivery system to the injectors is too low on the pressure side. This problem has gotten progressively worse and worse to the point where it is now having major issues on a daily basis on my truck. I've had issues out on the road, I've had issues in town, and there's just a lot of things to this whole situation. So first of all, I wanted to just kind of talk through this, diagnose things with you, share my thinking of how I got to this point of what my solution I believe is going to be. I'm then going to buy the part that is going to fix the problem, I believe, and then if it is correct, then I'll actually be posting this and sharing this with you. So let's go ahead and talk through what are the symptoms, what's been going on to get to this point where I have a P0087 code. Alright guys, so over the last year or maybe even more, I have noticed at idle, I have more of a shakier engine overall. The truck literally shakes when I'm at the truck stops. When I've been idling all night long, I thought, oh, well, maybe it's a motor mount issue. Oh, well, maybe my turbo is, it was original until I recently replaced it. Maybe it's the turbo that's not sufficiently getting enough air. Maybe the vanes are messed up. Maybe it's on the air side. Well, I've since replaced my turbo. I also thought, well, because most of the videos on YouTube, people point to the lift pump in the fuel tank, in my actual diesel tank. Maybe it's that. Well, the problem with that is I have an aftermarket lift pump. And basically that has been over 300,000 miles, and I've noticed some different noises and some issues with that. And so I went ahead and called and said, hey, can I get a new pump? I just installed that more recently. And so I've continued to have issues even after that. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not the lift pump. I've replaced my turbo. What else is there to really replace? What's going on? Even longer ago, I also replaced my fuel rail sensor, the pressure sensor on the actual rail itself. So what else is there left? Well, it's not the low side pump. And CP3 pumps are not known to go out, especially on these trucks. They're known to last just about for forever. Obviously, the CP4 pumps on the newer trucks grenade very quickly, but CP3 pumps are not known to go out really ever. I mean, they pretty much just go along with the life of the engine, is what I hear and I see online for these 6.7 Cummins engines. And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't think it's the actual pump, the high pressure side, because I believe it goes up into the 20,000 psi range, maybe even closer to 30 with the fuel injection system on this diesel engine. And so it's not low side, it's not the turbo, it's not a air fuel ratio issue on the turbo side. So what's left? Well, digging and digging and digging, not really finding anything on YouTube to really help me, pointing me in all different directions, but this one area is the fuel pump pressure regulator. And because I've had rough idling, I have had, when I go to take off, there's times where it'll stall. There's times where if I just baby the gas pedal, the fuel pedal, whatever, that it will eventually go. There's times where when I am decelerating, when my RPMs are coming down, I'm coming to a complete stop. There's times where my RPMs dip way down below 700 RPM, where it usually rests right at, and it'll go down into the 600, 500 RPM range, which essentially starts making the engine rock and shake, which initially made me think, oh, my ABS is having some issues. This is a brake issue. Well, it's not my whole truck shaking. It's particularly I can feel it. It's in my engine bay. It's not just my tires. It's not my front tires. It's not my rear tires. It's actually my engine itself. It's starting to stall. It's making a jolting noise. It's making a jolting, you know, vibration. And so it really is the engine itself, not the ABS system just starting to fail or lock up or whatever it may be. You know, when I'm out on the highway, we're, you know, cooking 60, 70 miles an hour, even with a dump trailer, even under a load. I'm not having any of these issues. When it's wide open, when we're going, when I'm on the on-ramp, I have zero issues, but it's only at the start of a drive and the end of a drive, coming to a complete stop. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's not low side, it's not the air side. It's the, I believe it's the high side, and I believe it's the regulator, which I don't know anything about it specifically myself, but there's nothing else that would make sense that on takeoff as well as deceleration, and then even starting the truck sometimes, very few times, where I'm having these issues. And it makes sense that to me that a regulator, if it's having to have issues, it's probably going to have issues at the most, you know, sensitive times. And so I believe it is a fuel pump pressure regulator to regulate the amount of fuel that's going to the fuel rail to then cause that code to trip. Hey, this fuel rail is not getting enough fuel to be able to supply these injectors. And so that's a problem. So this is what I'm going with. I'm going to be picking up the part here soon. It's not a regular part people keep on hand, just so you know. I'm going to have a link down in the description below to help point you to an Amazon link to get it within a couple days. Most places say a few days to even a week. So I happen to have found one place that actually has the part for my truck. It's a Ram 3500 2012 dually ST. They actually have the part that they can get within a few hours today. So I'm going to be picking that up in the next couple hours and just trying to get that taken care of. So we'll see if this fixes my problem. If it does, then this will be uploaded. If it doesn't, then I'm not going to lead you down a wrong path. So just wanted to share this with you, and I will catch you once I get that part, and I'm going to show you everything that you're going to need to see and do to be able to actually replace this part and hopefully have success going down the road, not having a regulator issue. So I'll catch you guys in a second. Alright guys, so we now have the part. Incredibly enough, for the price that I had to pay for this, all that it is this little regulator with a sensor on it, I guess, to be able to control it, to do the regulation. It's got 3 bolts, I believe, that go into it. Obviously this red part is going to come off, and that's what's actually going to, I'm assuming, open and close to do the regulating of the fuel. But yeah, this is the piece. Very small, very expensive, and I'm gonna go ahead and find the right bolt size, get that together for you, be able to pull it off, and tell you what's going on. So I will be right back as I get this figured out. All right guys, so the actual regulator is right here. It's a kind of tight fit down in here, but this is the actual regulator. The electrical part is off to the right side here. You can't really see it, and there are 3 T25 Torx bits. Basically, this is the middle one right here that I just got off. There's one further back there on top, and then one down below. What I kind of discovered, and I'll just kind of show it to you here. Hold on one second. What I found out is there's quite a bit of debris inside these little Torx bits here, or bolts, I guess. And so it was a little difficult for my actual bit to get in there. So tried to get my my air gun to be able to spray it out. Really couldn't get much of any luck doing that. So I just tried to have, without like grinding anything, I tried to just maneuver and get this free and clear to be able to get my bit actually in there. So what I ended up having to use, which kind of down in there, let me see if I can grab it here, was an extended bit. So this is a 3/8 long extended Torx bit right here. I kind of had to go around some of the lines because they're just perfectly right in the way. This is one of the most ridiculous, you know, you're able to see it but you can't really touch it. It's one of those situations, unless you take off your whole air intake tubing and all of that, which I'm not about to do. You've kind of got to play with it. Now also, something that was very good to find out that I was happy about was, once I initially broke the pressure holding this bit in there, this bolt in there, basically it was, I could just twist it with my fingers. It was very, very easy. Looks like a pretty fine thread. So there's 3 of them. It is the T25. I use an extended bit here on the 3/8 drive, and I've got the first one, the easiest one. Who knows what the one in the back is going to be like, or the one in the front. What I'm assuming is going to happen, at least for the one on the top, is I'm going to be able to break it, break the pressure on there. I'm going to have to take off the drive, and then because of how wedged it back it is, you know, further away, really close to the engine, I'm going to have to just twist this bit without the drive being connected, because it's going to be so loose without actually being able to have any traction with it. I'm not going to be able to crank the drive, and it's very, very difficult back there. So that's my plan for the one in the back. The one on the bottom, I think, should be opened up a little bit more, should be a little easier. But 3 of these T25 torque bits here, that should be able to get it right off. Obviously the electrical connector as well that's connected, but I'm going to worry about that last. That'll be probably easiest to take off. So I'm going to go do the top one. I may check in back with you again, and then I'll do the bottom one. So we shall see how it goes. All right guys, so I finally got this off. I ended up having to do the bottom one first because it gave me a little bit more accessibility there. I did leave the harness on simply because the way to unclip it is actually on the inside, so I guess it won't matter too much. When you put it back on, you could snap it on at the last step. It's very simple, the little push pin right here to lock it in place there. But the top one seemed to be the most difficult, this one right here, because it is really, well, it's much further down there as you can see, but basically that bolt there kind of locked in by the actual fuel supply line from the aftermarket low pressure pump into the CP3 pump. So I really had to use that deep T25, that Torx bit, and kind of squeeze it in between the actual assembly of this regulator, as well as that plastic quick connect fuel line from the low pressure pump. So the top one was the worst. So you're gonna need a lot of patience. I ended up, because of the angle and how you have to get your arm back down in there, I had to put my arm down that way just to be able to get on the other side of this intake. I guess I could see where it'd be beneficial taking this whole thing off, but it seems still, even after me doing it, still seems like that would have been a bigger pain to actually get that done, because you're still going to have that issue with the top of that fuel line and this bolt here. So I'm going to disconnect this real quick. I really don't have any indication of what I'm looking at here for the regulator. Looks like it's old, looks like it's seen some wear and tear, and we will see how it goes. But I will be putting on the new one, and then trying to get, again, going in reverse order, probably having the bolt in the top one here and just trying to lead with that one and trying to get that in first. Or I might do just the middle one, and then that'll allow me to have a little bit of play, so when I am trying to get the top one or the bottom one in, I'll be able to be a little bit more lined up. So I will let you know. Real quickly, I am going to be hitting it with some QD electronic cleaner for the connector there. It does seem to be quite a bit, quite a bit wet in the surrounding area of where it clips in. So I just want to make sure that I'm doing all that I can to make sure that it's going to be good to go for hopefully another 600,000 miles on the truck. I'm going to hit that real quick. I would just encourage you to do that as well. Can't hurt. It's only going to help. And it's the quick drying formula, so that you can just plug and play right there. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. All right guys, so here's my solution. I do already have the middle one in, the bottom one in, but the top one, it was very difficult to begin with, so I just kind of skipped it. out of laziness. Well, now I'm waiting on getting this one in as the last option, and this is what I've come up with, a magnetized solution to be able to lead this in there at the right angle, and then just kind of going, because it's going this way, basically I'll just kind of go forward to get it in, and then try to put my finger on the bolt, kind of pushing against it, and then to be able to pull off the magnet. So that's my solution at the moment to get this top one in the hole to where I can actually get it. So I'll let you know how it goes. All right, guys, so it's now been several days actually since that last little clip. What I've done is just tried to test it out. After I got everything bolted up together, those last 3 bolts, I was able to start the truck, checked for leaks. There is no slow leak of fuel from that regulator, no other issues down there. And basically what I wanted to see was what was really going to be, you know, the result of this being fixed. Does this actually solve my problem? And the answer for me is yes, it did solve my P0087 problem. The issue that I had, basically, essentially, as soon as I put the key inside my ignition, I no longer had a check engine light. The light, basically, after just a few seconds of having that check engine light on, it immediately turned off. And then what I did was I did a complete full scan. The Blue Driver scan tool that I have, I've got a video on that, link in the description below as well. But basically, I was able to do a full scan, no longer had that code any longer, and it was extremely noticeable with my RPMs just idling. Like I said, idling was a big issue for me, being able to maintain those 700 RPMs at a constant rate, whether it's the beginning of the day, whether it's the end of the day. You know, also the issue with coming to a complete stop, having issues to where it would die on me literally as I'm almost, you know, at 0 miles an hour, completely stopped at a light or a sign. That was just a scary thing to begin with, but no longer have that issue. Doesn't fluctuate. It does fluctuate. I did notice, I thought RPMs had a little bit more to do with it, but it seems like it doesn't. It does still fluctuate from maybe 650, the line between 600 and 700 RPM, but generally it stays right at that 700 RPM right there. But no fluctuations, no shuddering, no engine rocking, no other symptoms whatsoever. And the big key thing is that the check engine light has left and has never come back since. It has progressively gotten worse over time to the point where it just stays on all day long, and I'm just hanging on for dear life, just trying to make sure that this truck is not going to die on me. There has been I have not, you know, cleared codes and tried to hide things and hope they just don't come back. I have legitimately not had any of these symptoms anymore, and it's been flawless ever since. So it is still a truck with 600,000 miles. These injectors do have 200,000 miles on it. It is the original CP3 pump. I did just replace my low pressure side pump as well as the filters, but everything else in line has been replaced, has been touched, or it, you know, still is original. It's running smooth now, just like it always, you know, should have been. I just could not narrow it down. So this is the fix for my P0087 code on my truck. I'm also assuming with this regulator being changed out, that I'm now, because it regulates the fuel, I'm assuming I'm going to be increasing my fuel economy overall. Maybe not like crazy, but I would assume that if you're having trouble regulating your ratio, that means the, you know, proportions and all that are going to be different. It's going to get a better burn. It's going to have a better, you know, in the chamber, a better situation. So I don't know all the you know, specific lingo, but having the proper amount of fuel for the proper amount of air is a very important thing in any vehicle. So I just want to take a couple days to really look through this, and before I say, oh, it's all fixed. Well, if I had, you know, the next couple days had issues after that, that would not be too true. So it's been several days now. It's been great. No issues with this. I do have some other current issues with my drive shaft and other things with that, but that's for another video. Hopefully you have a great day today. Stay safe, guys, and God bless.